Welcome to Tales with Meaning, where every story offers a lesson worth remembering. Today's tale is one of quiet determination, where the smallest of steps lead to an extraordinary transformation. Imagine facing a challenge so daunting, so overwhelming, that it feels insurmountable. But what if I told you that with patience, perseverance, and a focus on the little things, that mountain of a problem could be conquered? This is the story of a young woman who faced such a challenge. She started with almost nothing, just a small notebook and a seemingly impossible goal. How could she ever succeed? The answer lies in the steps she took, each one tiny and deliberate, but powerful enough to change her life forever. Stay tuned as we unravel her journey, a journey where small steps lead to big achievements. Sarah was an ordinary young woman with an extraordinary dream. She lived in a small town, surrounded by fields and forests, far from the bustling city life. For as long as she could remember, she had been passionate about writing. Her heart filled with stories and ideas, she longed to become a published author. But the road to achieving her dream seemed impossible. With no connections in the publishing world, no money for writing workshops, and no clear path to success, Sarah's ambition felt like a distant fantasy. One day, while browsing through an old bookstore, she stumbled upon a battered, leather-bound notebook. It wasn't much to look at. Its pages were yellowed with age, and the cover was frayed at the edges. But something about it called to her, as if it were waiting for her to unlock its potential. Without hesitation, Sarah bought the notebook with the few dollars she had. When she got home, Sarah stared at the notebook, her mind buzzing with excitement and doubt. She had always been a dreamer, but now she needed to be a doer. She didn't have a plan, just a burning desire to write. The first few days were filled with uncertainty. She would sit at her desk, pen in hand, staring at the blank pages. The fear of failure loomed large, whispering that her efforts would be futile. But one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over her small room, Sarah decided to start. She didn't aim to write a novel or even a short story. She simply wrote a single sentence: "Today, I begin." It wasn't much, but it was something. And that something was enough to break the silence of the empty pages. The next day, she wrote another sentence, then another. Soon, sentences turned into paragraphs, and paragraphs into pages. Sarah wrote about anything and everything: the weather, her thoughts, her fears, and her dreams. She didn't worry about grammar or style. She just wrote. Every day, she filled a little more of that notebook, each entry a small step towards her goal. Weeks turned into months, and before Sarah knew it, the once empty notebook was full. She had poured her heart and soul into those pages, and no, it wasn't a polished manuscript. It was proof that she could do it. The feeling of accomplishment was overwhelming. But Sarah knew this was just a beginning. Encouraged by her progress, Sarah bought another notebook, then another. With each one, her writing improved. She started to develop her voice, her unique style, and her confidence grew. She began to experiment with different genres, crafting short stories, essays, and poems. Some days were harder than others, and there were times when doubt crept back in. But Sarah had learned the value of persistence. She had learned that even the smallest step forward was still progress. Sarah's small steps began to pay off in ways she hadn't anticipated. She started sharing her work online, posting her stories on a blog she created. At first, her audience was small, just a handful of readers. But as she continued to post, her following grew. People resonated with her words, and soon, she had a loyal readership. One day, as she was scrolling through her emails, she saw something that made her heart skip a beat. It was a message from a small publishing house. They had stumbled upon her blog and were impressed by her work. They wanted to discuss the possibility of publishing a collection of her stories. Sarah could hardly believe her eyes. She had dreamed of this moment for so long, but now that it was here, it felt surreal. The meeting with the publisher was nerve-wracking. Sarah walked into their office with a mix of excitement and fear. But as she sat down and began to talk about her work, her nerves began to settle. She realized that she had something valuable to offer, a unique perspective, a voice that was all her own. The publisher saw it too. By the end of the meeting, Sarah had signed a contract to publish her first book. When the day finally came to hold her book in her hands, Sarah was overwhelmed with emotion. It was a small book, nothing grand or flashy, but it was hers. It was the result of countless hours spent writing, of moments filled with doubt and determination, of tiny steps that had led her to this moment. She had achieved her dream, not through a single grand gesture, but through a series of small, deliberate actions. Sarah's story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact of taking small steps towards a big goal. She didn't have a clear path laid out before her, but she didn't let that stop her. She simply started, taking one step at a time, trusting that those steps would eventually lead her where she wanted to go. And they did. Her journey wasn't easy, and it wasn't quick, but it was hers. It was a journey that turned a dream into reality, one small step at a time. Thank you for joining us today on Tales with Meaning. Sarah's story is a powerful reminder that even the most daunting challenges can be overcome with patience and persistence. We learned that big achievements don't happen overnight. They're the result of many small steps, each one bringing us closer to our goal. So, the next time you're faced with a challenge, remember Sarah's journey. Start small, stay consistent, and trust that those little steps will lead to something great. Thank you for listening, and until next time, keep taking those small steps towards your own big achievements.